Hey, how you doing, everybody? It's another episode of Stage Door, a podcast hosted by a couple of regular guys. Today, Ron and I are sitting down with Devon from Findlay. She's driving all the way up here. Couldn't be happier to have her because we're going to learn something because we always have something to learn. It isn't just always about the people on stage performing. We got to have people behind the scenes who are making all this put together. Just like I got to sit down. I got to make sure all the cables are all connected. But most importantly, I got to make sure everybody's drinks are ready and cold and in their hands.
What are we drinking here today?
All right, so Manhattan's because she said she wanted bourbon on the rocks straight. I was like, yeesh.
Sheesh.
Bourbon's my go-to drink.
My gosh. Man. I was like, you're definitely a behind-the-scenes person, aren't you?
Backstage for sure.
Backstage
Drink bourbon on the rocks.
I got you.
Yeah, this is becoming one of the country's best podcasts for theater. It's quickly becoming that.
We're excited.
Like
yeah. You like it? All right.
Yeah.
You've listened to a couple of them?
I have listened to a couple, yeah.
All right. At least a couple. I'll
Better
take
than
a
me.
couple.
I haven't.
Haven't listened to any yet.
I've listened to all of them multiple times, because I'm an egomaniac and I like to hear my voice. So, actually, though, see, this I like doing these podcasts because these podcasts are like educational, learning, and people who don't know anything about what's going on. And Ron and I fall right into the boat of a lot of people.
What the heck is a program manager?
Yeah,
Production manager.
Production manager.
See,
I didn't even get the title right when I called you.
That's a
then.
thing?
Production manager / production coordinator.
Where at?
I work at Marathon Center for the Performing Arts in Findlay, Ohio.
Uh-huh.
And I live in Bowling Green, so kind of right in the same line as you guys.
Okay.
Down. And a production manager depends on the venue a little bit. So it depends on the type of venue and then the venue itself. But basically, a production manager is sort of the overall organizational aspect of the backstage theater. So we take all the aspects of backstage and we make it work together. So we do the scheduling, we do advancing of shows. If you're in a roadhouse like I am, we make sure that everybody has what they need for each department in order to make the shows happen. We do a lot. And then we also run all the meetings and then run the show the day of.
So we got to go back. So you do the scheduling. Scheduling of what? What do you mean by that?
So that depends on the venue. So like for MCPA, which is a roadhouse, so there's two different types of venues. Oh my gosh,
that was going to be my other question.
The other one. What's a roadhouse?
I only know Roadhouse from the arm wrestling movie.
Yeah.
No, that's over the top. That's not
I
even.
think.
Yeah, Roadhouse is the movie that Patrick Swayze was in.
It's got some kind of saloon in it.
So not quite the same thing.
Not the same?
But
okay.
there is usually alcohol at the shows, so like close to the saloon. No, we do. So a roadhouse is where touring shows come through. So there's producing houses and there's touring houses. So a touring house is called a roadhouse.
We learned something.
Okay.
So we are a touring house. So we bring a lot of tours through. So that can either be shows that we produce. So that means that we contact them and we bring them in. Or it can be rentals, which means they contact us and they want to come do a show at our venue. And so they contact our event coordinator and she figures it out from there.
Gotcha. And the producing house would be where they actually make the shows?
Correct. So that is where like community theater is a producing house usually, right? So like they create the shows there. And so we do a little bit of both. We create our own youth theater productions, but the rest of our shows are rentals or tours.
Gotcha. And so you just graduated from college with this degree, production assistant? Like, how does this...
Nope. So,
there we go.
Kind of. So I went to BGSU for... My major was technical theater and design. Mm-hmm. So with a minor in arts management. So through that, I specialized in stage management.
I'm going to back you up further. How did you even think about doing this when you're 11 years old?
Yeah,
so you're 11 years old and you said, I want to be a theatrical, whatever you just said is a really long name, with a minor in whatever you said that was also super long.
So, my title on my resume is ridiculous for graduation. But no, so actually, I didn't want to do this until almost college. So I was always in shows, and I loved it. But it was never something I really wanted to do as a career. I just enjoyed being in musicals, being in the chorus, or in plays. And then my senior year of high school, my director at the time was like, hey, our stage manager is graduating. Would you like to be the stage manager next year?
Nice. Are you from the area?
Nope, I'm from
Okay, good.
Dayton,
All right,
so
good,
not too
good.
far, but just north of Dayton. And so I was like, well, I don't know what that is, but sure. And so he was like, I know, but I would like you to try it. So I did, and I loved it. So I spent my whole senior year doing that. And then I was actually declared a criminal justice major when I went into college.
What?
And,
Why? Why were you declared? Nobody declared me anything when I went to college. So why did you get declared that?
Well, they asked you to like declare a major when I went in.
Oh, you know what
And
I said?
so-
They said, what college you in? And I said this one.
Yeah.
Because I'm a
That's
moron and I didn't know anything about anything. And my counselor fails miserably. So I blame my school I went to.
That's fair.
I know.
There's
I
always
looked
some
around.
great
I thought it was a trick
counselors.
question. He looked at me like, I don't know. What the hell are you talking
are you
about? This
doing?
one, I'm standing here, aren't I? He's like,
I don't
no.
know, I'm here,
Yeah,
I'm
he's like,
taking
no.
classes.
Yeah, he's like, no, sweetie, what's your major? I'm like, oh, I'm dumb.
I
I'm
don't-
dumb. This isn't going to last long. I can tell already. Great.
So you take that to BG and you start stage managing.
Yeah, so I actually went up there for a tour, and I originally was just touring the campus because I liked it for criminal justice, but I decided that I wanted to check out the theater anyways and just take a tour because it was open that day.
I have another question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
I'm
you're
going to go
fine.
back again.
Go back.
Yeah,
I'm going to go back because your theater teacher in high school said, I want you to not do stuff on stage. I want you to do stuff behind. Were you taken back by that? Were you offended by that? Were you like, well, screw you. You don't want me on here. I'm moving on, you know?
No. I was pretty open to trying something else. I
Okay.
really liked backstage stuff, and I didn't love being on stage. I really liked
Okay,
being a
all
part
right.
of theater, but being on stage really wasn't my thing.
Okay,
I just
good.
did it because that was how you got to be
That's
a part
how
of
you
theater.
get, yeah. Because I just think a lot of people would be like put off by that and say,
So a high school
No.
teacher gave you a shove.
yeah, and said,
Yes.
go be a criminal justice
encouraged
major.
you.
Yeah, he really did. And I fell in love with it that year. I worked really closely with him as a stage because he was the director also. And I loved it. He taught me a lot about stage management. So when I went to BG for the President's Day, or I don't remember what it was. It was something like that where the campus was
February.
open. Yeah. And I took a tour of the theater, and I loved all the people that gave me the tour. And I was talking to them. They asked me, what I like to do in theater, and I said stage management. And they said, well, you see, we need some of those.
We actually
Also,
have that, yeah.
we have open interviews today for our stage management. They called it Grant and Aid at the time, which is basically like kind of a mix between a scholarship and work study, where you do a certain number of hours stage managing for the department, and then they pay part of your tuition.
Oh, I like that idea
And
already.
Yeah.
right? And
Once
they were
again,
like, well, why
nothing I
don't you
ever heard
interview?
about, yeah.
And so I was like, okay, sure, why not? And I happened to have one of my binders in my car because I was doing a show at the time at high school and it just lived in my car. And so I went to do the interview later that day, and they were like, this binder's amazing.
Oh, nice.
Which was really cool. So my director did a great job
He
in
did,
high school
obviously,
teaching me
yeah.
lots of things. And I got a letter a couple weeks later saying that I got in as one of the stage managers, and I would be assistant stage managing the first show of the year next year.
Wait. You just walked in
If I-
and you were automatically an assistant stage manager? They didn't say you got to be the person,
Like
what are
the
they,
coffee,
runners?
the runner, yeah.
Nope.
You're a runner?
You have to go get coffee. No.
Nope, just
You just boom.
assistant stage
Wow.
manager.
So when they said, we really need some people, we have some openings actually, they weren't shitting. They were like, we need people like now. So
Yeah, I mean, stage managers are
And
usually
we'll
a
pay you,
little bit
yes.
hard to find. Not everyone likes being a stage manager. It's usually a fairly thankless job, and a lot of work. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, but at the end, whenever all the actors are getting glory and they're taking their bows, they point to the house.
They do.
That's when you
That's
get,
Yes.
that's you, baby.
That's you.
That's you, man.
Yes,
That
yes.
point, that finger point up, not the one down. The one
No,
down's to
that's
the
the pit.
orchestra. That's
No.
totally
Yes.
totally
They're
different people.
pointing to the house.
Oh, the
and
house. That's you.
Oh, yeah.
You get 4 points a show. That's awesome.
exactly. No,
So-
4 points a show run, not a show, just 1 point.
So
Just
you
one point.
you came to BG with a little bit of knowledge about lighting, moving set pieces, a little bit of design, props,
Yeah.
wardrobe, all of that.
Yeah,
Alright.
so a little bit of everything. So as the stage manager, you kind of have to know a little bit of everything. So jack of all trades is really a master of none is usually what they say for
okay.
stage management. But which is not always necessarily true. That depends on the stage manager. But you definitely need to know enough about each department to be able to talk to those departments about what they do and what they need. So
Gotcha. What's your boyfriend's name?
He's my husband now.
Oh, he's your
actually,
husband. Oh.
As a week and a half ago.
Oh, is that what happened?
Congratulations.
Wow, so from the time we booked you
Yeah.
until then, you got married.
Yeah.
Correct.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow,
we had a
'cause-
wedding in the middle of that.
Wow, because he thinks you're the
That's why
bee's
she
knees.
had to reschedule.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah. I have to
Damn it.
reschedule.
I have to reschedule. This thing is coming up.
I'm getting married.
No, he was like, you have to talk to my, well, he didn't say wife, he's girlfriend. You have to talk to my fiance. I think he said fiance.
Yeah.
actually,
Oh,
now.
okay.
You have to
Yeah.
talk to her. She's like amazing. So, yeah, you obviously have some good support.
Yes.
Going on
yeah,
there.
he's
so.
great. He's
So
very
you're
sweet.
so you're at BG.
Yeah, you're at
for
BG.
4 years.
I actually did 4.5 because I did a minor with a major that is not supposed to have a minor.
Gotcha, but don't skip all the shows.
And
so
you
you did like
learned
one
everything.
thing.
Yeah.
But you did one thing. You walk in, you're a stage manager,
Okay.
assistant stage manager. Then what?
So after that, I did that show and I loved it. So I switched my major over to theater.
Okay.
And I kept going. So they asked me if I wanted to stage manage the musical in the fall, which I should have retrospectively said no to. But I said yes, sure, why not? That was a crazy experience. A lot of fun in a lot of ways, also insanely hard, especially as a freshman.
Wow.
But from then, I stage managed most of the musicals, almost every musical until I graduated. And I usually did a straight play in the fall and then the musical in the spring.
Did you fake it until you make it though? Did you do that? I mean, do these actors who you're working with on stage have any idea that you're a freshman?
Yeah, they all knew.
Oh, they all knew.
Yeah, they all knew. The costumer did not know. She thought I was a senior.
Huh?
I was not. I was not a senior.
Faked
So I
it.
didn't know anything. And she was like, why don't you know anything?
Oh,
And I was
well,
like, I don't know.
I don't know.
nobody told me anything.
I
yet.
don't
I'm
know
still
anything.
learning. This is my second class I've taken.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's amazing though that they just threw you right in though. That's kind of I don't know. I think that's kind of
That
cool
is
though.
great.
It wa-
Nothing beats hand-on experience.
Yeah, trial by fire for sure.
That's true.
But it was a great experience, and I loved BG, and I loved
And
the
you got
professors
good
that
at
I
it?
had there. Yeah,
You got good at it.
Yeah, by the time, by the end, I was good at it. Yeah, I loved doing the musicals. I was one of the few stage managers there that could read music, and so that was kind of my. I liked
Why
doing
can
it.
you read music? What you skipped this part of your
Yeah,
life?
yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds like.
I started when I was young. I played piano for a while. I do not really play anymore, and I do not play super well. But I played for a couple of years. I took lessons, and I also was in choir forever. And I sang in church choir too, and so.
And that's where you know Janine from? Or-
So I don't actually know Janine.
Okay.
I have heard lots about Janine from many people, but Nick is my husband is really the one who has met Janine before, but he knows
Nick
her
what?
kind of through
What's his
Nick
last
Dion.
name? Okay, there we go.
He knows her through her son, Will Bachman, who is the co-director of a barbershop chorus that he's in.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
In
So
Boston.
so I got to change your name in my contacts to Devon Dian now.
Yeah, I haven't changed it yet,
what a
but
pain.
yes.
What a pain.
Now,
know.
again, stage manager, during a performance, you've got headsets on and you're talking to people?
Yes.
Calling anything?
Yep. So I, as the stage manager, usually call all of the cues depending on the theater. So
I need this set piece. Or
yep. Yeah, you do. So sets, lighting, sound, spotlights, kind of depends. So for musicals, there's usually several spotlights that are going to, depending on the theater that you're in. So you call those cues. That also depends on the theater. Sometimes they have a head spot that calls all the cues. In college, I called all of the spot cues as well as lighting.
you don't just show up on show week. You've got to be there for rehearsals.
Yes. So the stage manager is there from the beginning all the way through to the end.
Okay.
First
Take
one
a
in,
drink.
last
Your
one
drink's
out.
getting warm. Take a drink.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
getting warm over there. I don't like it. It's just staring at me.
We
So
got to
I-
loosen her.
Yeah. So you were obviously you're in Bowling Green and you're doing your stuff, but that you're only talking about stage managing, but that's not what you're doing now.
Yeah, now.
So how did you do anything at all like what you're doing now at Bowling Green?
Yeah.
So stage management kind of translates almost directly into production management. It's kind of the next step up. So yes, to a degree, as a stage manager, you do a lot of that anyways. So you run a lot of the meetings and you help out a lot with the scheduling. You also help out a lot with like the organization of all of that, right? So it's just the next level of organization up.
don't know what that means. What do you mean? You say you help out with real detailed. What do you mean you organize the next thing? So you say that you do, the next step up. That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know what the next step up is.
As the stage manager, you are once the director makes the rehearsal schedule, you're sort of in charge of making sure that happens, right? As a production manager, you don't just deal with the rehearsal schedule, you also deal with the design schedule, the build schedule. You make sure that all of those meet together. The light hang schedule, when different departments can be in the theater for their own time to do things like scenic painting and dark time for lights, all of that, right? So you schedule all of those things as the production manager and make sure that all of that schedule works so that everybody's happy and everybody has what they need to make the show happen.
So you have this huge calendar then.
Correct.
You might say,
multiple.
there's a semi coming today and we're going to unload it, that sort of a thing.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, so as a roadhouse, so that's really kind of the producing side, right? Like, which is what I do for our youth theater at MCPA, but
At what, I'm sorry?
At MCPA, Marathon Center for the Performing Arts.
Yeah.
So from the roadhouse side, though, what I do as production manager is I advance, what's called advancing, with the show that's coming in, which means that I call them, usually starts with a couple of emails and a phone call, and I figure out exactly what they need from us in order to make their show happen at our venue. So that includes, like, finding out what they need as far as lighting. So I'll read their technical rider through, which is just a document stating every single thing they need from the venue they're going to. And then I determine what we have that will work with that rider and what they are bringing or what we need to provide outside of what we already have. And then I have a conversation about it. So that includes the type of lighting console, the amount and type of speakers that we have, the kinds of lights that we have.
Oh my God, I hope our listeners are following this. My head's about to explode.
Holy cow.
You sound like super important and
Yes.
shit. Oh my gosh, keep going, though. Keep going.
And then also, I do all of the hospitality for them. So not only do I just determine all of the technical aspects that they need and what we need to provide in lieu of what they don't have and what we don't have, I also deal with their hotels, sometimes their transportation.
What? You book them hotel rooms?
Their meals. Yep.
Meals?
Transportation.
Yep.
Like what meals? Like you get them something at Cheddar's or whatever's down in Findlay?
Sometimes. So it depends on how long they're going to be there for, right? Okay. So the other thing that we coordinate is the day of schedule. So the day of schedule is started based on them. So how much time they need to load in their show, do sound check, and do their show, right? And then how much time they need to load out. And then the schedule builds from there as far as what I need.
How the hell did you have time to come and talk on this podcast? Don't you have something to do?
Smokes, yeah.
I drove straight from work.
I feel like you should be working right now. I mean, what is going on?
You're almost as important as like the romantic lead on stage.
Almost.
You're almost as important.
No, they're definitely more important than me.
No. There's nobody as important as you. Holy.
So that's what I do. Yeah,
we're taking drinks. Yeah.
So how did you get from BG to this job?
And how
more
would
jobs in between?
Did somebody tell you had to do all these things? I mean, how do you? Because I'm telling you now, if I showed up and I was a stage manager mostly in college, and they said you're now a production manager, and just do it, I wouldn't know to do any of those things you just said. The people would go hungry if I was doing the job.
So there was a step-up process.
Okay.
I didn't just start here. So when I graduated, I actually got an internship in New York. And I went there for about 2 months. Mm-hmm. I interned with Wicked on Broadway, which was a lot of fun.
You're just now getting to that part of your life?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's the cool part.
Started with that. Oh, my God.
Right? That's what everybody says. That's the only cool part.
Yeah.
No, so I did that for a couple of months, which was a lot of fun. But I did not want to live in New York City.
Oh.
I loved New York City. I really love visiting New York City. I did not want to live there. So I came back and I worked at like a factory as an office manager for a little bit. And then I got a job in North Carolina at a theater down there as an assistant stage manager.
What's the name of the theater in North Carolina?
The Lost Colony. It's in the Outer Banks.
Outer Banks, yeah.
Yeah, I fell in love with the Outer Banks.
Ron's
Yep,
son
that's
and
where it was.
daughter-in-law lived down there.
I've been there.
Yeah, so I worked at Lost Colony. Manio, lived in Manio, and I loved it. I fell in love with Manio.
There's Big Al's Burger Place, which I don't know if you're familiar.
I
Okay,
don't know
never
if-
mind.
No. She looked at you like, what?
What?
Yeah, I don't know that one, but
Thought for sure that was going to hit something good, right?
But
And
I did.
nothing.
But I did really love the Outer Banks and Manio. But I lived there for about 5 months doing that over the summer, and then I was really far away from my family because all of my family lives up here, and so I decided that I wanted to come back and spend some time with my grandma and some other people in my family. So I came back, and I got back. I worked as a manager at a cafe and like a hookah place for a little while.
Oh.
And while I was working there, I got a call from the production manager down at Marathon Center for the Performing Arts that was like, hey, come down here and work. And I was like, all right. So I went down there and I helped unload the
You're
theater.
like, I
It
don't
was
know,
like-
man. It's hookah bar.
Yeah, right.
I'm feeling it here.
And at that point in time, it was kind of just like an overhire gig, which I can explain in a minute. But
Yes, please.
so I went down. It was just kind of like part-time. They needed help like starting the theater, basically. They had just gotten out of Hard Hats. I think we actually might have still been in Hard Hats the day that I went down there. And so I worked that day, like helping them unpack a bunch of stuff. They gave us a tour, and then we started buying things to make it a theater. Because
The Marathon Performance Center, is that new?
Yeah, so it
I
used
thought
to
it's
be
been
an
around for a
old...
while.
Nope, 2015.
Oh, crap.
It was a high school before that, I believe. or a
Findlay
middle
High School?
Yeah. Yep. And so they tore most of it down. They kept the auditorium and part of the like historic lobby, and then the rest of it they tore down and they built around it to make the Marathon Center for the Performing Arts. So he
And
called
they-
me down there, and I went down and I worked a couple days, and he was like, "Hey, you want to work here for real as the assistant production manager?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" So I did that.
Sure, why not?
Why
In the overhire meant...
And the
you-
first
did you
show
hire
was
too many
Hard
people?
Hats, the musical. The first show. Hard Hats, you said you were just out of Hard Hats.
It was actually Kenny Rogers' Toy Shop,
Oh.
starring Alan Thicke.
That's not confusing.
No.
Why didn't it star Kenny Rogers?
Kenny Rogers had retired at that point. He was just in charge of it.
He says he's retired, but he keeps coming back and doing
Yeah.
stuff, I think. Yeah. Dolly Parton calls him up. And he's like, I'm on it. Let's
Yeah,
do
right.
this
I'm
shit."
coming. I'll do that. So overhire is basically like a part-time. So like the union up here, IATSE, which is a backstage like stagehands union, they do overhire work.
What is that word?
IATSE.
IATSE.
Okay.
Don't
I
ask me what it
assume that
stands for right
stands for
now.
something.
It does.
Backstage Union,
Yeah.
kind of.
International Alliance of Stagehands.
There you go.
something.
Something like that. There you go.
And so they do overhire
Local
work, which basically
24,
means
I think
it's a
that's over.
gig. It's a gig-based job, so they call you per gig.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of what it started out as, Marathon, until they figured out what they were doing. And then when after a couple of days, he was like, well, I need crew. So he hired me on full time and my friend Dustin as the head house electrician down there. So then we started working there
Yeah,
full
Dustin
time.
almost made this trip, but I said, no. We're going to have Dustin on later.
Yeah, that's fair. That's also a lot.
Because it's
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, if it's anything that's going on with this, holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like a lot going on right here. So
Yeah, he's my counterpart. So he's the technical director / technical coordinator.
gotcha.
So that's a whole nother host of things.
Gotcha. So is there a stage manager then at Marathon?
Me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in theater we wear a lot of hats.
A lot of hats.
So I
lot of hard
am
hats, apparently.
the stage manager there. Yeah, and hard hats. I'm the stage manager as well as the hospitality director, coordinator.
Wait, that's another thing.
Hospitality
What's that mean?
director.
Is that
Yeah.
the person who gets the brown M&Ms for all the stars?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And also the meals. So it just splits up kind of. So I started out as the assistant production manager and hospitality. Well, there was somebody doing hospitality for like the first month of MCPA, and then she handed it over to me, and so I started doing that, an assistant production manager. And then from there, I went into production manager and just kept that part of it.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha, man.
Ooh, I'm
so
exhausted
is
already.
Is there anything that, like, when you were at Bowling Green, that you would look back and say, "Oh, thank goodness I learned that part of it." You know, that was something that was invaluable that got me to where I am now.
I mean, really, I would have to say most of my theater, and also my business minor, technically an arts management minor, which is basically a business minor with like a few arts management classes thrown in there. But really, all of that, like
See,
there's.
I forgot that was the other thing you said.
Yeah,
had.
that was my
there's
minor.
So much,
Arts
yeah.
management, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really, I mean, really all of that kind of combined is what got me to where I am now.
But was
and
there
allows
like a
me to do
moment
my
during
job.
your show in any of these shows that you were like, oh, this is important. I need to remember to do this later in life, or was it just a?
No, I think it was really a combination. I mean, really like multitasking and problem solving are your two biggest.
Just this giant accumulation of show after show after show. Huh?
Yeah, really experience. Now there's not much that I haven't seen, I don't think. There's,
Probably a little getting a tougher skin, a thick skin.
oh, yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yep.
And do you have a backstage stage manager voice that you get into when you have to crack the whip or yell at people? Or do you get mean?
I don't really. So I have never been one of those stage managers. I
But
respect
you're a
them.
roadhouse though too,
Yeah.
right? So you don't know these people really
You're
well
not-
either when they come in.
True. If it was
Correct. So I do stage manage like our youth theater productions, and also I am a stage management mentor over at the University of Findlay. So I do a lot over there with their stage managers.
Gotcha.
And I stage managed all through college. But I have never really been one of the stage managers that like gets mean. If I get mean, you really know it's bad. Like it's bad. So all the actors that have ever worked with me are like, oh no, we really messed up. Like if Devon gets mean, like we're in trouble. I fully respect those stage managers because I get where they're coming from. But I've always preferred doing it a little bit differently. So I like to build the respect with those actors so that they know like when I ask them to do something, it's because I really need them to do it. And if I can allow them to goof off for a while, then I will.
How does it work when you have just a show that's coming in for a day though?
So I usually work with so those shows usually either have a agent that comes with them or they have a production manager that comes with them. And so I work with that person. So usually I don't do a whole lot necessarily with their actors or their band members. Sometimes I do. It depends on the show. But usually they have a pretty good respect for the venue that they're coming in for too. So like usually when our crew asks them to do something, they're usually willing to do that. So.
And you're not the first theater they've come to
Correct,
on this
yeah.
trip. You know, there's been this is the 20th one they've showed up to. They have a system in place. It's all
Exactly.
good. You know,
Yeah.
They only want their brown M&Ms, and as long as you get them that, they're
I
fine.
mean, yeah, usually if you provide everything that you say you're going to provide and the things that they ask for and that you've worked out ahead of time, like that's usually a pretty good thumbs up. So
you ever had a weird request? Like the brown M&Ms?
plenty, yeah.
Oh, really? Give me one.
Yeah. I've had shows that have asked us to like paint the dressing rooms, which
Oh,
I do
wow.
not do. We're not doing that. I draw the line there.
What is the reason for that?
They just wanted it a specific color. I don't even remember who it was, but they asked for one of the dressing rooms to be pink.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not painting the dressing room pink.
I thought maybe it was like a feng shui calming thing, but
No, it was like a bubblegum pink.
That's
and I was like,
offensive.
why
I
would
don't
you
like
want
that
that?
at all.
Right? That's what I said.
you would have to immediately repaint that afterwards. What was that
Yeah.
show, may I ask? Do you know?
I
remember?
don't remember who it was. I have definitely
Tracy
had
Turnblath request that, did she?
it was a female artist, like music artist, but I do not remember
Oh, okay.
who it was.
A music artist.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I always think like they put that crap in there to see if you're paying attention.
They definitely do to some degree, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. They
Like, did you
also
actually
will
read
put
this, you know?
the most that they would ever need for a show in there a lot of times, and then expect you to tell them what they can and cannot.
Gotcha.
have.
I need a new pair of socks for every show, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Yep. We've had ridiculous amounts of like alcohol and drinks asked for, and of course
Oh,
they never
sorry.
drink all of
that
it.
was my fault.
Yeah.
I'll stop by next week.
Speaking of,
Especially when they're there for like a day, and you're like, you are never either. You are going to be like falling over on stage, or you are never going to finish all of that.
Gotcha. It's like we want a giant pint of whatever, not pints.
It's like 4 bottles of wine and 2 different types of liquor, and then like 2 different 12 packs of
They wanna
beer,
take
and there's like
stuff on the
4
road
people
with
in the band. I'm like, what are you doing?
one for the show and then like 3 for the road. That's
Yep.
what they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had specifically scented candles. That's a good one.
yeah.
And I have to go searching for
I
those.
say, do you get those?
I've tried to do that. I will attempt to find your specifically scented candles if I can.
If it's somewhat
We-
reasonable, you try.
Yes.
Can we offer that to our guests from now on?
No.
No. Okay.
we you know what? She got her bullet rye over there
Yeah.
that she's having with her Manhattan.
And it's
so
very
I guess,
good.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
guess I'm kind of the hospitality manager. too.
Yeah, you're a
You
hospitality
are.
manager.
Yeah.
Holy
Fancy
sweet.
pants.
And the runner. You
Yeah,
went and got
and
it.
a production assistant,
Yeah.
and program manager who books people.
See, you're already good
I'm
for theater.
amazing.
You're
You're
doing, it all.
already.
I'm amazing.
Yeah,
You're just-
you're there.
all about-
Multitasking
it's all-
already.
Do you
It's all
have
about
any?
me.
Do you have any shows that you can tell us who's come there that we might know?
Yeah.
Chicago.
Chicago.
We had Johnny Mathis,
I've heard of them.
Arlo Guthrie.
No, never heard of that person. Who is that?
Um.
I have no idea who that is.
Country folk.
Somebody's name is Arlo.
Yes.
Wow.
folk
That
singer.
that's. I assume it's a dude. Please tell me it's a dude.
It is a dude,
I was gonna
yeah.
say if it's a lady,
Yes.
I'm like that lady's parents hated him. Her.
Shows like musical theater productions.
So we haven't had a lot of musical theater. We've had Flashdance.
Okay.
We had Pirates of Penzance.
Okay.
Tell us about the youth theater.
Yes.
Actually, so you have this youth theater that you apparently have been doing since 2015.
So actually, we did not do it. I think we
Oh.
started it in 2017. So we actually took
And then
over.
you lost like a couple years because of COVID.
Yes. So we took over a smaller organization called TAP, and we acquired them.
You bought them out.
They were a smaller organization in Findlay, and they were doing their shows at our venue once we opened. And so it just kind of made sense. We needed an educational side as we're a nonprofit, and so we really wanted to do an education department. And it just made sense to merge with them. They only have a couple employees, and so we just kind of took their employees under our
Nice.
umbrella. And now we're one organization with a youth theater program. And so we have a director of our education director, and so I work with him as the production manager and stage management mentor for those shows. So I usually call those shows, but I have a youth
What do you mean
theater.
call those shows? You're using words we don't know, man.
So that's calling means like when the lights change or there's a sound cue or the set comes on stage. That's me telling all that to happen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think Marathon needs any
Okay,
podcasters? 'Cause
and
we're,
we need
we're
the-
available.
Where's
Yeah,
the curtains?
I mean, sure.
Where's the curtains? Open the curtains. Open the curtains.
Yes,
Gotcha.
exactly.
So you absorbed TAP.
Yep.
And then you started this in 2015. And what kind of is it? What do they do?
So we do 2 large shows a year. We do like one for smaller kids and one for the older kids. And so
Makes sense.
it's usually 2 musicals. So we just finished Cinderella like a couple weeks ago.
Who's Cinderella?
I don't
Oh
remember.
no! Come on, all right,
I'm
never
sorry.
mind. We'll cut this out. We'll cut this out.
I don't know. So we just finished Cinderella, and then we are going to do Madagascar Junior
Oh yes.
in the spring. So we do those 2 large shows every year, and then we usually do a night of 1 acts that are I think 7th through 12th, maybe 6th through 12th. And so that's a couple different directors come in, and they each do a 1 act show, usually 3 of them. And we have kids help with all aspects of everything.
That's awesome, though. So until 2015, then TAP was doing some stuff. But how much were they doing as far as like? Have you expanded it then?
Yeah, so I don't fully know everything they did at TAP, but when we took over, when they kind of merged with us and started doing things at MCPA, I think they were already doing the 2 shows a year. I'm not sure I don't think they were doing the evening of 1 acts. And I don't know what all workshops. So we do a ton of
I was gonna
workshops
say,
now
educational
too.
workshops. There you go.
Yeah, and 2 summer camps for kids as well. So we do quite a bit, and they've started some
good.
art clubs now, which is really fun.
Good. So you got
So-
summer camps, so you keep the theater kids off drugs. That's good.
Yeah, we
Give
try.
them something
Yeah.
to do
We
during
try.
the summer.
That
besides
Findlay
just-
drug scene is really, it's
instead
really
of being
rough.
punks and joining the sharks, you've got a place for them to go.
Yes, yeah. For
thank
several
goodness.
weeks out of every summer, they come and hang
Thank
out with us
goodness.
all day.
That's awesome, though.
Okay.
So the whole thing on this is like, how do you become what you are? How would you recommend to somebody a path, I guess, to figure out like how do they become a program director? Did I say that right? Because my God, you've had so
Yeah.
many jobs. I'm
Job
lost track.
Production
See?
manager,
See?
production coordinator.
Oh my God.
Production manager.
Production.
Yeah.
How would you become a production manager?
There
What
are
do you
probably
recommend?
several different routes to get there. I definitely think that stage management is a good start to that.
Okay.
So start assistant stage managing, start on backstage stuff. working in scene shops or costume shops is a really good start to that. Start to understand all of the different aspects of theater. Be on stage once. So as a stage manager, I like to say that you should have done everything once. So it's really a lot easier to do your job as a stage manager if you understand enough about every single department to have a conversation with them about the show and what they do. You run all of the meetings, so you ask all the questions. You're also the one in rehearsal that is kind of looking out for all of those different departments. So as the stage manager, my job is to like watch those rehearsals and make sure that like, hey, that person is standing on that chair. Did we make sure that chair is standable from the set designer or the technical director that's building it, if we're building it, or the prop master if they're pulling it? So that's something that then in the production meetings, I would need to be like, hey, these actors are standing on this chair. Can we stand on this chair? If not, then the director needs to do something different, or we need to find a different chair, right? So that's something that the stage manager is responsible for in those rehearsals. So understanding those different departments and what they need from that rehearsal is really important. So I like to make sure like my student stage managers get a little bit of every department. So start there, start doing everything in theater that you can, and understand all the different departments, and then start assistant stage managing and then stage manage. And also a business degree or minor doesn't hurt. And you sort of build from there. Then you can apply for assistant production management positions. And usually as a stage manager, you can get into those positions, in some theater or in some way.
Could somebody do this that doesn't have a degree though?
Yeah, if they have enough experience in theater. So I hire overhire workers for all of our shows that we do. So my crew is all overhire, and some of them have never done theater before. And
you hired somebody who's never done theater before?
Yeah, so I won't hire a lot of the positions that have never done theater before for one show, but if there's somebody that really is interested and wants to come work with us, then I'll find a show that I can kind of stick them in as a stagehand under someone else. So Dustin, our technical coordinator, is also really great at teaching people too. Oh, nice. And so both of us really enjoy that. We like to teach and we like to mentor people too. So something that we'll try to do is if somebody really is interested, we'll kind of let them in on a show, and Dustin will kind of take them in with him, and whatever department they are really interested in or whatever department I can get them into, we'll kind of send them on their way with somebody who can teach them and help them along so that it's not a detriment to the show, but they get to learn and we get another crew member. So
we don't have to be great actors to be in theater. We can make a whole life of it backstage. So there's more to it than just being the romantic lead.
yes.
So there's hope for us.
That's all I want to be.
Oh, you
Ron.
just-
I'm only want to. I'm not
only wanna
doing
be-
this crap unless I'm the romantic lead.
Hey, I'm just saying, sometimes the backstage is more fun.
Well, I'm just saying that if I get to be the romantic
Yeah.
lead on stage, at least maybe not at home, but I want to be at least a romantic lead on stage. Oh no, my wife's over here pointing to me saying, "That's right, baby. That's right. That's not cool. That's not cool." Even when she's not talking, she's still a peanut gallery over here. Not cool. Not cool.
I mean, I feel like that is kind of her job as well.
I got you. Want to tell your husband that you love him?
I do. Nick Dian, I love you.
There you go. See, let's add that too here, because he was the one who got a hold of us and said, I know this wonderful person. I think you need to have her because she's so good at her job. And I was like, who the hell are you, dude? No, I was like,
I mean,
that.
that's
No,
fair. Who are you?
It was good. It was great.
So why would a Toledoan like myself go to Findlay to see a show at Marathon?
We do some really cool shows. So we one of the series that's my favorite is called our Live at Arms series, and it's actually less known artists, but they're very there are a lot of indie artists, but they're really cool. And it's a whole a jazz club vibe. So those nights are a lot of fun to come down to if you've never been down to the center. But all of our shows are really good. We have some really good artists in, some that I've never heard of, and I've been doing this for a decent number of years. But they're all a lot of fun, and our space is smaller, so it's kind of a more intimate space. We seat 960, but it does not feel like that. It's a really cool space to come in. It's an old Art Deco theater that they refurbished, which is really neat. And so it's a cool space.
And you've had Chicago.
We've had Chicago.
You've had Algie. What was his name?
Arlo.
Arlo Guthrie.
something
We've
like
had
that, yeah.
Jim Brickman.
Yep. We're having
Who I
Jim
just
Brickman. We
heard
haven't
of
had him
today.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
See,
And we've had Darius Rucker.
A country singer. Okay, I
yep.
know that person.
You do stuff at Christmas that's Christmassy?
We do. So we usually do a couple of Christmas shows a year. I do not know what they are off the top of my head. I should have looked at that before. I
Ron
came.
knows.
A Charlie Brown Christmas.
We are doing a Charlie
He
Brown
comes
Christmas. We do. So we have a whole
Nutcracker?
family series. Yep, we have Nutcracker. We have a whole family series that we do, usually 4 to 5 shows a year that are on Sundays, that are like Sunday afternoons, that are a lot of fun. So they're for the whole family.
Awesome, and I've seen the youth show down there.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yep, kids can dance in the aisles. We have a great time.
It's just I have a nephew who did some theater down there, so I've seen those, and it's like, oh yeah, this is nice. Youth shows are always great to see, encouraging the youth, getting them involved, keeping them off the drugs like you're doing.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
Yep. We try. Yeah, we have and our youth shows are really fun. We try and let the kids do, as many aspects of the show as we can. So they help us build, they help us paint, they help us make the props. They also run the audio board and lighting board. Both of our consoles are run by kids. And our spotlights are usually run by kids.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
Production, what?
Production manager or production
Man,
coordinator?
I am so terrible at this. I have to stop drinking this Manhattan, obviously. Every time I have Manhattans, I'm like, where am I?
Yes.
I think I might be beating you on the Manhattan. So
Yes.
Oh, well, I just want to thank you for coming in, obviously. This has
Thank
been
you guys
this
for
been
having
pretty
me.
cool. So we learned a crap load today.
Yes.
So your brains are exploding a little bit.
They
I'm
are.
sorry.
I feel like I don't know, scrambled egg that's melted and coming out of my nose. I don't know what the exact is like.
That was exactly what I was
Oh
thinking.
my gosh, it was just a lot. You're just a wealth of knowledge, and I hope that the listeners hear this and are like, as much as we are. I mean, maybe Ron and I are just thick, which is probably true.
That's it.
But we're like, whoa, I can't. That's a lot. You do a lot, and it sounds like to me, Marathon's lucky to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. Yes, I definitely. I guess talking about it, I'm like, wow, I do a lot, but it's fun. We have a lot of fun, and I really love theater, so it's worth it most days.